Krishna. So we're studying from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 7, entitled Further Inquiries by Vidura. We're on text 5. It's April 13th, 2024. Text 5, Chapter 7 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Text 5. Deshata
Deshata
Kalata
Kalata
Ya
Ya
Asau
Asavno.
Abastata.
I'm so sorry, dear Govinda. Can I get my reading glasses? I can't see. Unless there's someone else to repeat right now. Otherwise, you have to wait for me. Okay, thank you.
Abastata
Avastata,
Svata
Tata,
Anyata
Anyata,
Avilupta
Avilupta,
Avabodha
Avabodha,
Atma
Atma,
Sa
Sa,
Yujeta
Yujeta,
Ajaya
Jaya,
Katam
Patam,
Deshata Kalato Yosav
Deshata Kalato Yosaf,
Avastata Svatonyata
Avastata Svatonyata,
Avilupta Vabodatma
Avilupta Vabodatma,
Sayujeta Jayakatam
Sayujeta Jayakatam,
Deshata Kalato Yosav
Deshata Kalato Yosaf,
Avastata Svatonyata
Avastata Svatonyata,
Avilupta Vabodatma
Avilupta Vabodatma,
Sayujeta Jayakatam
Sayujeta Jayakatam,
Deshata Kalato Yosav
Deshata Kalato Yosaf,
Avastata Svatonyata
Avastata Svatonyata,
Avilupta Vabodatma
Avilupta Vabodatma,
Sayujeta Jayakatam.
Sayujeta Jayakatam.
If anyone else would like to recite the verse.
Deshata Kalato Yosaf,
Deshata Kalato Yosav
Avastata Svatonyata,
Avastata Svatonyata
Avilupta Vabodatma,
Avilupta Vabodatma
Sayujeta Jayakatam.
Sayujeta Jayakatam. Okay. Canto 3, Chapter 7, Text 5. Deshata. Deshata.
Deshata.
Circumstantial.
Circumstantial.
Kalata.
Kalata.
By the influence of time.
by the influence of time.
Ya,
Ya,
one who,
one who,
Asau,
Asau,
the living entity,
the living entity,
Avastata,
Avastata,
by situation,
by situation,
Svata,
Svata,
by dream,
by dream,
Anyata,
Anyata,
by others,
by others,
Avilupta,
Avilupta,
extinct,
extinct,
Avabodha,
Avabodha,
consciousness,
consciousness,
Atma,
Atma,
pure self,
yourself,
Sa,
Sa,
he,
E,
Ujeta,
Ujeta,
engaged,
engaged,
Ajaya,
Ajaya,
with nescience,
with nations,
Katam,
Katam,
how is it so?
how is it?
Okay, so we'll read the translation. We're in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 7, Text 5. The pure soul is pure consciousness and is never out of consciousness, either due to circumstances, time, situations, dreams, or other causes. How then does he become engaged in nescience? So this is Vidura inquiring from Maitreya, the title of the chapter, Further Inquiries by Vidura. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The consciousness of the living being is always present and never changes under any circumstances as above mentioned. When a living man moves from one place to another, he is conscious that he has changed his position. He is always present in the past, present, and future, like electricity. One can remember incidents from his past and can conjecture about his future also on the basis of past experience. He never forgets his personal identity, even though he is placed in awkward circumstances. How then can the living entity become forgetful of his real identity as pure spirit soul and identify with matter unless influenced by something beyond himself? The conclusion is that the living entity is influenced by the avidya potency as confirmed in both the Vishnu Purana and the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam. The living entity is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 5, as Para Prakriti, and in the Vishnu Purana he is mentioned as the Parashakti. He is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord as potency and not as the potent. The potent can exhibit many potencies, but the potency cannot equal the potent at any stage. One potency may be overcome by another potency, but to the potent, all potencies are under control. The jiva potency, or the kshetriya shakti of the Lord, has the tendency to be overpowered by the external potency of vidya karma samgya, and in this way he is placed in the awkward circumstances of material existence. The living entity cannot be forgetful of his real identity unless influenced by the avidya potency, because the living entity is prone to the influence of the avidya potency. He can never equal the supreme potent. Omanganatimirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayamupakadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavams Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitan Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saganalalita Shri Vishakan Vitams Cha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpata Yubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaivanarottamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jayamu Dhirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should first offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat Utamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 3 Chapter 7 Text 5 Deshatakalato Yosa Bhavastatta Svatonyata Avilupta Vabodhatma Sayuje Tajaya Katam. The pure soul is pure consciousness and is never out of consciousness, either due to circumstances, time, situations, dreams, or other causes. How then does he become engaged in nescience? Okay. So, well, we can be moved by such quality of questions from Mahatma Vidura. Right, as it is said, as Prabhupada said, every living entity is asking questions all the time. Okay, even the plants and the animals, where is water, where is food, where's a mate, where's a place to sleep, where's where's eating, sleeping, mating, defending, how can I defend, and so Dvipada Pashu, to the extent as spiritual beings in the human form, to the extent that the quality of our questions are perhaps in sophisticated ways or not sophisticated ways, to the extent that the quality of our questions are around eating, sleeping, mating, defending, then essentially it's Dvipada Pashu, two-legged animal life. And not that we want to neglect the care of the machine. This is a machine, the body. Not that we want to neglect it. And at the same time, if taking care of the machine, just like if we're absorbed like 15 hours a day, and how am I going to do the oil change for that car? And of course, we take care of the oil, make sure the car is clean, and like that. But the car is a vehicle to support us to go to our destination. So similarly, this is a vehicle. Kamasya Nendriya Pritir Labuji Vetayavata Jivasya Tapajigyasa Nartoyascha Karma B. Sutta Goswami describes to the sages at Namaisharanya, life's desires should never be directed towards sense gratification one should aspire for a healthy life, self-preservation, because the purpose for spiritual beings in the human form is to inquire about the absolute truth. Nothing else should be the goal of one's works. Okay, so these are very high-level questions, and it's a common theme throughout the Bhagavatam that the questioner is so fulfilled and joyful to hear the questions, kind of like, wow, I get to respond. These questions are so glorious. I get to respond to them. There at Namasharanya, Sutta Goswami, after the first chapter, Bhagavatam, first canto, there's 6 questions by the sages, and the rest of the 12 cantos expand from that. And then after hearing the question, Sutta Goswami says, Munaya Saruprishto Ham Bhavadbir Lokamangalam Yakrita Krishna Samprashno Yenatma Suprasidati. He says, your questions are glorious, and they're beneficial. They're supremely beneficial for the welfare of everyone, because your questions relate to Lord Krishna. Only questions of that quality can fully satisfy the self. So to the extent that our propensity for questioning is not related to absolute truth, to Krishna consciousness, to self-realization, we won't be satisfied. We'll always be hungry, always be empty deep inside. So that's why we're hearing Bhagavatam. So inquiry into the absolute truth, Atato Brahma Jigyasa, now's the time to inquire about spirit. That's the first aphorism of the Vedanta Sutra. So we can just, again, we can unpack these. This is amazing verse by Vidura Mahatma. The pure soul is pure consciousness and is never out of consciousness, either due to circumstances, time, situations, dreams, or other causes. How then does he become engaged in nescience? Okay, so we said absolute. So absolute truth means that which is true in all time and circumstance, all time and space, right? Okay, this simple example we give. If I say David Wolf, 63 years old, from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, it's a relative truth relative to designations, upadis related to this body, the birth of this body, like that. But what was that true? That I'm David Wolf 1 trillion years ago will be true 1 trillion years from now. No. So what is true trillions and trillions of years? Because of course the idea of absolute eternal essentially doesn't mean for a long, long time. Eternal means outside of the whole paradigm of time, outside of the space-time continuum, to use modern scientific terminology. So Vidura is, well, he's expressing and asking about absolute truth. The pure soul is pure consciousness. Okay, so that's true. I'm a soul. I'm that irreducible quanta of consciousness that animates the body. So that's true in all time and space. And the consciousness of the pure soul. So Srila Prabhupada describes in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna describes in Bhagavad Gita, we as spirit souls, we are conscious and we are consciousness. They're both true. We're made of consciousness. We're made of such Chidananda. We're made of eternity, bliss. I mean, isn't that exciting? We're made of bliss. We're made of eternity, bliss, and knowledge or consciousness. And we're conscious, just like you can say a photon of light. It's made of light and it is illuminating. Okay, so we're conscious and we're consciousness. Okay, so Vidura says, the pure soul is pure consciousness and is never out of consciousness. So that's part of absolute truth, all time and space, never out of consciousness. And then he gives some examples, either due to circumstances, means we're always that spirit soul, that conscious spirit soul, whether we're here or there, we're in the house, we walk outside, we take an airplane and travel 12,000 miles, wherever we are, we're that conscious entity. Okay, either due to circumstances, time. That's it, because like before this body was born, called David Wolf, I was that conscious entity, and it addresses that in the purport, past, present, future. Yeah, he is always present in the past, present, and future. Situations, any situations, dreams or other causes. Right. So dreams, right? That's a good. That's like another. This verse is essentially like, I know you're all, these analogies like that, right? Like the finger, the owner of the finger. We picture a photo from when we were 5. Okay, the body changes, but there's some constant identity. The vehicle and the driver of the vehicle. Vasamsi jinani atavi haya. Navani grinati naro parani tatashirirani vihaya junani anyani samyati navani dehi. Krishna says, just as when the clothes are worn out, we get it, and we take off these clothes and put on a new set of clothes. Similarly, when this body is worn out, then we leave this body and we get a new body. So there's so many analogies: the clothes, the car, the finger, and the owner of the finger. That's not an analogy. That's the actual situation. That's not an analogy. Okay, so this verse from Vidura, that's what it is. That's what it is. Oh yeah, there's the changing. That's intelligence. The body changes, but there's some constant identity. So now dreams, yeah, that's another way to apply our intelligence to realize, to self-realize, to realize who we are. Okay, so the Bhagavatam is very interesting when it talks about sleeping. In some respects, the Bhagavatam describes deep sleep it's actually a facet. It's actually a form of liberation. So the more we indulge in just deeply sleeping, the more self-realized we are. I'm not recommending it, but it's actually there in the Bhagavatam. If we think about it, I'm just sharing my understanding of those aspects of the Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam goes in many places to the dream analogy. So, because yes, at least 6 hours, says Anandini. That's so encouraging. Yes, and so yeah, so let's look at it, right? Because to be not liberated means I identify with this body. Right? I'm not even thinking about it. I'm lost to I'm lost to who I am as a spirit soul. Need to eat means the body needs to eat. I need to defend someone insulted me. I need to defend. This body needs to respond to that correspondence. This body needs to clean the dishes, and just this body is me. I'm identified. So that means that's the non-liberated thing, full of anxiety, and the whole festival: envy, jealousy, depression, etc., fear, like that. To the extent that we misidentify that pure soul, the consciousness, with the dead body, then that's the root cause of all insecurity, the root cause of all anxiety. Okay. So that's the materially conditioned life. It's conditional. It's not absolute. And I'm conditioned to think, David Wolf. I'm conditioned to think all these material upadis. Okay, that's conditioned. It's not pure. All right. Now, when I'm sleeping, I'm liberated from that misconception. When I'm sleeping, when you're sleeping, we're liberated from the conception that I'm this body, right? Like when we're sleeping, tomorrow I have this important meeting at 12 o'clock on Zoom. That's not there when we're sleeping. That's not there. I have this doctor's appointment, and we need to do this and like that. That's just like we're liberated from the misconceptions related to the gross body. So it's a form of liberation. And in sleeping, when we're dreaming, this verse talks about dreaming. When we're dreaming, then we're still identifying with the subtle material body, right? We're all familiar. Gross material body described in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 4, 5 essential elements. Umira pona lovayu kamana buddhir evacha ahankara ityame bina prakritir ashtata, earth, water, fire, air, ether. 5 essential elements, the gross body. And then 3 subtle elements, mind, intelligence, and false ego. So when we're dreaming, we are still identifying with this, with the illusion that I'm the subtle material body. We're liberated, at least temporarily, for 6 hours, as Anandini wrote. We're liberated from identification with the gross body. But on the subtle body, oh, I'm this person who's flying like a bird. I'm this person who's being chased by a monster. I'm this person in a palace. Okay, so we're completely, and we are that person. I mean, that's our conception. So we're still in that illusion of the subtle material body. Okay. But then in deep sleep, when we're not dreaming, we can say we're liberated from the gross material body conception and from the subtle material body conception. So that's an even more complete form of liberation. Deep sleep, deep like that. Now, when we arise, when we get up from deep sleep, now, and this is like, it's like a logical proof that we are that non-material entity, that atomic unit of sentience that inhabits the body. When we arise from deep sleep, now we say, or we think to ourselves, wow, I really slept deeply. Wow, I really rested good. I was completely asleep. I was really out. All right. So that indicates that there's some entity that's conscious. There's some entity that's conscious that I slept. Right? Kind of, we're just like the mass of chemicals. If we're just the machine, well, there's what would be the entity that has that conscious remembrance that I slept. But we have a conscious remembrance, just like if I move from here to the kitchen, now I'm moving to the kitchen, or I have a conscious when I was 5 years old, riding that little tricycle. Oh, okay. I have a conscious remembrance, right, in that body. So when we awaken, we have so it's not that the consciousness doesn't exist. No, we have a conscious remembrance. I slept. So that's an indication, again, of that irreducible quantum of consciousness. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 5, apare mitas panyam prakritim vidime pram jiva bhuta mahabaho yayedam daryate jagat. So Krishna, after describing the Mahabhuta, the 5 external elements and the 3 subtle material elements, then he says, and there's another energy in this material world. That's the jiva soul struggling with the material energy. So we've visited how dream sleep is a form of liberation. Deep sleep is even higher form of liberation. At the same time, let's not get carried away with that, because in a sense, it's not really liberation, because we have not transcended our karma. Because when we awake, we come back to all that, the nature and the nurture, the psychophysical nature. We come back with identifying with yantra rudani mayaya, with the machine made of material energy, like that. Relatedly, and this gets on a more metacosmic level, at the destruction, after another 150 trillion years or so, at the time of at the end of the lifetime of Brahma, I guess it'd be, in a sense, with the inhalation of the Mahavishnu and the whole material cosmos, including all the bodies of the living entities, gets absorbed into the body of Vishnu, that's also a sort of liberation. At the same time, if we're still, if we haven't cultivated pure devotional service and we still got all this karma to live through, then after another 311 trillion years and the exhalation of the Mahavishnu, then we'll come out and get more bodies. So that's also like on the, again, the metacosmic level. That's also it's a form of temporary liberation in the form of a sleep, just like when Vishnu's sleeping, we're sleeping. Okay. So to get, let's call it steady liberation, where we're really liberated in an enduring way from material desires, and that piece, Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Ateva Shanta, Sakali Ashanta, rather. It means as long as we have any desires, any material desires, we won't be peaceful. And it's the nature of the self to desire. And Krishna Bhakti Nishkama Ateva Shanta. Shanta means peace. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. It's like a Sanskrit word, like everyone knows practically. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So peace, and that means to direct, to transfer our propensity for desire to serving Krishna, Prabhupada described, in one sense, it's not a desire, it's just the natural expression of the self, right? And everything else is this kind of distortion. It's like, say if we have white light from the light bulb, and that's just kind of, it naturally shines and radiates. Now, if we put some crepe paper, we put some paper covering the light, blue paper representing tamas, red paper representing rajas, yellow paper representing sattva. Okay, then the light can come through as like dark blue, this and that, but that's not it. The light is always like this white light that's coming through. So it's Nityasiddha Krishna Prema Sajik Kabunoi, Shravanani Shudachite Karye Udai. Love of Krishna is eternally situated within the hearts of all living entities. It's not something external. It's not something external to be gained from some external source. And it's naturally awakened by that natural love for Krishna. And Prabhupada will say, it's natural to love ourselves. It's not allowed to be spiritual and not love ourselves. No, it's natural to love ourselves because we're part and parcel of Krishna. Just like it's natural to love our body. Why? Because spirit soul's inside. Spirit soul leaves, bury the body, we're not loving it anymore, burn it, give it to the fish or the worms or like that. And because the soul's inside. And Krishna is the soul of our soul. And there's a text Prabhupada often quotes. Brahma Samhita Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena Shanta Sadaiva Vidayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Gunasvarupam Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Shama Sundar, Krishna himself, possessing innumerable transcendental attributes, in whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts with the eyes of pure devotion tinged with the salve of love. So the heart of hearts, right? Like the soul is situated in the region of the heart. And in the heart of the soul, the very source of the soul, there's Krishna there. And we realize that to the extent that we hear and chant. So just like we kind of started our presentation a few minutes ago about the quality of Vidura's questions. Just hearing these questions is so purifying. And of course, Vidura, he's asking questions simultaneously, giving so much philosophy in the question itself, in the question itself. And then he's hearing from Maitreya, an authorized source of infallible transcendental knowledge. So to steadily progress Yeah, so to steadily progress, it's just, this is emphasized so much, right? What are we hearing? What's the quality of our questions? And where are we going for hearing? Where are we going for hearing? So right now, we're good. We're hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam, we're hearing from Srila Prabhupada. We're hearing from Srila Prabhupada, we're hearing from Vidura, we're hearing from Vyasadeva, we're hearing from Shukadev Goswami. This canto, it's really just to get some of the iterations there. Srila Vyasadeva narrating the conversation between Sutta Goswami and the sages at Namaisharanya. And there, Sutta Goswami is narrating the conversation between Maharaj Parikshit and Shukadev Goswami there on the banks of the Ganges. And Shukadev Goswami is describing these conversations between Mathura and between Maitreya and Vidura. So, so important. That's why even the Vedas themselves are called Shruti. Shruti. Shruti means to hear. It means to hear. Right? And so Shruti, Shravanam. Prahlad Maharaj describes 9 processes of devotional service. The foundational process is Shravanam. And from that comes Kirtan. Based on what we hear, we'll chant. So if we just hear some mundane thing on the internet, or just, oh yeah, some guy, some lady, they're speaking something, it's cool like that. Okay, then that's gonna be in my mind, that's what we'll repeat. So how much is it connected with transcendental source? And that's the actual purpose of the tongue. Sharira Vijjal Jujendriya Taikal Jive Palevi Sai Sagre Tarimaji Jivati Loba Moy Sudhamati Takiti Takiti Samsare Krishna Baradoya Moy Kori Bari Jivajai Svapashada Nadilo Be Sayanamrita Parada Krishna Gunagal Primita Koji Tani Nitai Jaini Mai Jainita. It's really a poem by Bhaktivinoda Thakur that Prabhupada suggested we chant every time before we honor Prashad. This body is a lump of ignorance, and the senses are a network of paths leading to death. And all of this, and of all of the senses, the tongue is the most voracious and difficult to control. And it's very difficult to control the tongue in this world. But Sri Krishna is so kind that he has given us this Krishna Prasadam to help us control the tongue. We take this, we honor this Prasadam to our full satisfaction, and enjoy, chant the names of Radha and Krishna and Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. So the purpose of the tongue is to taste prasadam and to vibrate absolute truth. To the extent we do that, then we're peaceful. To the extent we don't do that, our tongue gets us into trouble. Our tongue gets us into trouble again and again. And so Prahlad Maharaj describes Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Bandanam, Dasyam, Sakyamatma, Nivedanam, Iti Pushpar, Pita Vishnu, Bhaktischan, Navalakshana. These are 9 categories of devotional service. Kriyata Bhagavat Yada Tanmanye Ditamutamam. And this is those aspiring for pure devotional service. They engage in these processes, starting with Shravanam, hearing, Shravanam, and Kirtanam. So Prabhupada often emphasizes that, oh, can you show me, can you show me God? But he said this seeing is overrated. Seeing is overrated. That we hear God, we get transformational divyagan, transcendental knowledge, mainly through the hearing sense, And what we hear, naturally we share. Kirtan, it can mean with kartals and harmonium and mridanga. Kirtan really means to describe, to glorify. I wouldn't be surprised if I get into would be the etiological roots of words, that the English word right comes from krit, kirtan, like that. And so any any sort of service is kirtan. Any sort of service is kirtan. And so it's so important that we hear from the right source. When I say right source, I mean like right, that can sound judgmental. Right in the sense of like, if our goal is to purify our consciousness and to advance in Krishna consciousness, then a big part of that is hearing from the right source. And okay, so a theme we talk about a lot. So naturally, we have so many gurus. Anyone who supports us and inspires us on the path of bhakti, the path of self-realization, they are our gurus. There's a place in the Bhagavatam, it talks about how the tree is a guru and the dog is a guru. Like the dog has such loyalty and the tree is so tolerant. Trinata pisunichina tori vasahishna manina manadena kirtanya sadari. Lord Chaitanya says, let us aspire to be more tolerant than a tree, more feeling ourselves lower than a blade of grass. In such a state of mind, then we can naturally, enthusiastically, joyfully do kirtan all the time. Because I'm not looking like, did I get enough respect here? Did I get honored enough? I'm not going to be distracted by all of that material illusion stuff. So, okay, and then, yeah, so it would be like, we can see, everyone is our guru wherever we're inspired like that. Guru to demystify a teacher. And in this process that Krishna gives us, Jasmad Gurun Prapajeta Jigyasu Shreya Uttamam. Shreya Uttama. Shreya means for our eternal benefit. If we're interested in eternal benefit, not just temporary gratification. Temporary could mean for this moment, or even for me, for the next 10 years. Not that we want to neglect that, but that our ultimate aim is our eternal benefit. Shreya Uttama. Jigyasu Shreya Brahmanupashana Shrayam Shabde Parichanishtam. Then that requires, we call it, let's call it the current link. This is a term Prabhupada uses. He describes Krishna as Brahma's current link. And then Narada Muni is, his current link is Brahma, and Vyasadev's current link. So the current link, because we might have so many gurus, I'm sure we all do, and they don't necessarily all need to be completely pure devotees of Krishna. That's fine. Same time, for advancement, our direct living current link to the parampara, the disciplic succession, it's vital that guru is in that absolute position. And then anything else I hear, anything else I witness, anything else I experience, I endeavor to process that and relate to that through the pure vibration, the pure lenses of my current link to the parampara, Srila Prabhupada. Otherwise, if that relationship, to the extent that relationship is not solid and clear, then I'm apt to get confused. I'm apt to not effectively discriminate, differentiate what is aligned with Srila Prabhupada's Siddhanta. Siddhanta means conclusions. What is aligned, what's not aligned. Okay. So, okay, yeah. So it's like the parampara. It's the Srila Prabhupada uses the eyeglasses analogy because we can think, internet recently, I saw something. Some said, "Oh no, that's just me and Krishna." Okay, like so, yeah, and we do have a direct relationship with Krishna, and that direct relationship with Krishna is enhanced through humbly serving my current link to the parampara, Srila Prabhupada. As an example, we could say, and it's true in a sense, these eyeglasses are in between, they're in the way between my eyes and the print. They're in the way. I want a direct relationship with the book. So let me take these eyeglasses off. It's all blurry. I'm not able to read a word. So because these eyeglasses are finely scientifically crafted, they actually enhance my direct relationship with the print. So similarly, situating ourselves with a proper current direct link to the parampara. That's Srila Prabhupada. I don't say Srila Prabhupada's the only way. He's the only one qualified to be a direct current link to the parampara. Maybe he is. I'm not saying that. I'm saying he's for sure 100% doubtless and fearless way. Definitely, he's definitely a way. If someone's, well, I'm going to search for someone else, I wish you well. And I'm saying 100% guaranteed Prabhupada is the genuine article, the sure thing. That's guaranteed. But for me, this one, okay, fine. I'm not fine. I hope that works for you. So by approaching Krishna with a humble, submissive, enthusiastic service attitude to our current link to the parampara, then our direct relationship with Krishna is enhanced. And we go, I want just me and Krishna. It's like taking off my glasses. Now it's more direct, and like nothing's there. Krishna disappears. Krishna disappears. Okay. So, yes. So Krishna, Sutta Goswami again, second chapter, first canto of Bhagavatam. Shunvatam Sakta Krishna Punyashravan Kirtanam Vedantastoya Bhajani Vidunoti Saritatam. Sri Krishna, who is the personality of Godhead and the Paramatma super soul in the heart of all living entities, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, personally cleanses material desire from the heart of those devotees who have developed the attraction, the urge to hear and chant his messages, the messages of Krishna, the messages of Bhagavad Gita, and those messages are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. So to cleanse the heart of material desire, we're being urged, not forced. We're being urged by all these pure personalities. Cleanse the heart of material desire, because I retain my lust, my envy, my greed, my pettiness, my deception. I retain, I'll be the controller, I'll be the enjoyer. Retaining all that, and just like we're dooming ourselves to misery, okay? And the material energy, it's Durga, it's a fortress, and that's meant to like wake us up. It's meant to wake us up to our pure consciousness, And then just in the final sentence of the verse, Vidura asks his question after concisely, eloquently giving sublime philosophy about the absolute nature of consciousness. He says, how then does he become engaged in nescience? Of course, Maitreya is going to respond about that. Yeah, but oftentimes, not just in devotional circles, but in the world, and like that, in philosophy, like the fall of the jiva. And I just see a lot of like wrangling about that. Yeah, and for me personally, and I've certainly had my philosophical doubts and questions and difficult things to understand, but that one never bothered me. But if we're pure, how could we fall? So Yate Chasi, Krishna says to Arjuna, right towards the 18th chapter, to the end of the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna spoke in the whole Bhagavad Gita, and then he says, now Arjuna, do as you wish to do. Krishna is caring, he's not apathetic, but he's not forcing. Once there's force, there's no love. So it means he's honoring our free will. And for me, it's something, well, I can't believe that it essentially it kind of like it comes down to something like, I can't believe that I would act so foolishly and I would leave Krishna's association. Personally, if you get what I'm saying, yeah, kind of like, personally, I'm not like surprised or shocked that I could act so foolishly. I do it every day, consistently. right? Even now, I'm feeling joyful. I'm feeling joyful, like morning program and the chanting and the Bhagavatam, and I'm feeling alive in spiritual connection. And based on previous days, it wouldn't be surprising if as the day goes on, as the morning goes on, as the afternoon goes on, that I make some foolish choices and I leave Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha means place without anxiety. And I leave Vaikuntha. Like I wouldn't be surprised. I've experienced it myself, consistently acting foolishly. So like the whole Phala Jiva, it's impossible to, it's like, Srila Prabhupada, he emphasizes, we have at every stage, even in Goloka Vrindavan, we have independence. Independence means we have the capacity to choose wisely and to choose foolishly. So, I mean, that's a summary. And so this chapter goes, and well, this part of Bhagavatam goes into that more. Hare Krishna. Thanks for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm going to read the verse again, and then I'll be glad to hear your comments, realizations, questions. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 7, Text 5. Deshatan kalato yosa bhavastata svatonyata avilupta vabodhatma sayujeta jayakatam. The pure soul is pure consciousness and is never out of consciousness, either due to circumstances, time, situations, dreams, or other causes. How then does he become engaged in nescience? Thank you for your attention. Hare Krishna. I welcome any comments or questions. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Anandini.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for your class. Well, yeah, many things you said. I feel really inspired and encouraged. And what I noticed and what you spoke about first is the question. Like I felt really excited about the question. I said, yes, it's such a relevant question. I want to know. I want to understand. And I was reminded that recently I was teaching English to a group, like 3 youths, my daughter and 2 of her friends. I was teaching English. And I asked them, if you were to meet the most intelligent, educated person, what would you ask them? And then I asked them, if you were to meet the wisest person, what would you ask them? And I was really inspired because they came up with questions like, what's the meaning of life? I would want to ask, what's the true religion for everyone? Yeah, so I got, the questions are there, and they're there, and probably they're not being fed. And then with time, they become adults and they will just not ask anymore. And I thought it's really, really sad.
Thanks. Very sad. And I'll just, so you were with the children and those questions are naturally there. And just the 2 questions you framed, I mean, that's like pretty exactly what's in that first chapter of Bhagavatam. That's what they're asking you, what's true Dharma, religion, what's true Dharma, what's the actual meaning of life, what's the purpose of life, what's the most intelligent activity. So just like it's there in the heart of the children to naturally ask that. And I share your sense of sadness that gets covered over.
Yeah, and I also, in that situation with the children asking the question, I kind of asked the question myself again. Okay, so what is true religion? And because like I grew up with religion is Christianity, it's Buddhism, although they don't see themselves as a religion, but okay, that's what I learned. And Islam, and Judaism.
Judaism.
So that's religion. And then what the Bhagavatam says, how I understand, is that actually any activity that awakens our interest for God, that's religion. That's a religious activity. And I felt so excited, like, okay, so like all the compartments of religion, they can dissolve.
Yeah.
And it's about looking at what is the activity. And that's the definition of religion. And then it becomes so universal.
Universal, yeah. Thanks for that. My curiosity, tell me again, what age were these children?
They're not children, teenagers, 14 and 15.
Yeah, nice. So they have essential spirituality, and then yeah. So I'm glad they have you as a teacher to bring that out. Yeah, right there, the second verse of Bhagavatam, right before the sages ask their questions in the first chapter, there's 3 invocation verses from Vyasadeva, and this numbers 2 and 3 are about the Bhagavatam, and the second one starts with Dharma, which Prabhupada, it's religion, but Prabhupada says the English word religion doesn't really translate it well. Dharma pojita kortavatra paramonimat saranam satam vejam astubhamatra vastu jivanam. So Vyasadeva says completely rejecting all religious activities that are materially motivated. This Bhagavatam propounds the highest universal truth, and that gets to the Sanatana Dharma. So the Dharma of the soul is to serve God, Krishna, with love and devotion. So that's the so that's the actual religion. So what's actually inspiring us, and to serve God with love and devotion, that naturally includes realizing who we are as spirit souls and not the machine of the material body. So that gets to the essence. So beautiful that the teenagers naturally ask that.
Mm. And I also have a question. When you spoke about guru, how we have so many gurus, we have so many teachers, and like bees, trees, plants, they can all be our teachers. And then that's the way of, okay, someone lives a certain quality and I feel inspired, like, or someone is very tolerant or humble or very clear, and I learn from them. Oh, okay, so they're clear, and then there's another way of teacher, like someone who's maybe demonstrating and a behavior I really don't want to live myself, and then I'm that person challenges me to be, maybe go deeper in my empathy or maybe go deeper in assertiveness. So that's also a way of teaching, but not that way. So is there a name for that?
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, there's different types of guru. There's the Diksha guru, the Siksha guru, the Bhartma Pradarshak guru, and like that. Okay. Well, a name. I mean, well, that in a sense that's the Uttama Adhikari stage. I mean, Uttama Adhikari really like everything, whether it's apparently materially favorable or not favorable. Dvaite Bhadra Bhajagana Sabhamano Dharma, Lord Chaitanya says, the idea of good and bad, right, wrong, and the material sphere, it's all an illusion. But then the Uttamadhikari consciousness sees like everything that's happening. Even we can think of the worst atrocities in our world, or the worst time we were victimized in our lives. That's there to be my teacher. That's there to be my teacher. So I don't know if there's like a word, but the verse I know you're familiar with from Lord Brahma, 10th chapter, 10th canto, 14th chapter, verse 8, tate nukampam susamik shamano. Bunjana Edvat Makritam Vipakam Vidvagva Porbir Vidadanamaste Tivetiyo Mukti Pade Sadayabak. That the pure devotee just even or especially when things don't go according to plan or complete, this is a catastrophe. It just moves them to deepen their enthusiasm to serve Krishna. Actually, just a few days ago in PPTC, I shared, some victim accountable type of story. I shared about when I was kidnapped, the deprogrammers. Okay, so that's like a terrible crime. These are these like thugs who kidnapped me. I mean, this is but they're my gurus. They're my gurus, and I have some real, like, I'm not just saying that, like everyone's my guru, but actually that whole experience of the kidnapping, I'm not going to go into the whole story, but it's so much deepened my trust in Prabhupada, deepened my faith in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. And it's not like the thug kidnappers, that was their intention to deepen my, but they are my gurus, sent by Krishna or Maya or whatever form. So we're encouraged to cultivate such a mentality. Now, yeah, because it can be a spiritual bypass. Everyone's my guru, and just, it sounds, woo, that sounds so amazing or something. But to actually cultivate that, like what's happening now, this person at the post office, yeah, how can I relate to that in a way where I'm really in discovery, and even someone treats me apparently not nicely. Okay, what? How can I relate to that in a way that deepens my inspiration? And then, okay, then there's a category of gurus where they're actually relating to us in a way where they're consciously endeavoring to enhance our self-realization in Krishna consciousness. And they might do that by philosophy. They might do it by honest feedback. Okay. And then amongst all the gurus, it's important that we have one guru who's a pure devotee, who is our current link, and who is not influenced by the modes of material nature.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anandini. Saraswati and Danielle.
Saraswati, do you want to ask your question to Dhira Govinda?
Dear Govinda, why does Kamsa send demons? I'm sorry.
Did you understand the question?
I'll take a translation. Thank you, Saraswati, in translation.
Dear Govinda, why does Kamsa send demons?
Why does Kamsa send demons? Oh, yeah. Because he doesn't want to serve Krishna. He wants to be Krishna. Right? So he wants to dance with the gopis. He wants to play with the cow. He wants to be God. And so he's trying to kill God by sending demons. Of course, it didn't work, but that's an essential answer. Thank you for your question, Saraswati.
Sorry.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other questions or comments? Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Oh, we have we're good. Yes, Damayanti.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the class. I was just thinking this morning because a few weeks ago I visited, my father passed away, and we visited cousins and aunts and uncles who all came to be with us. And one of my cousins was really curious about my spiritual journey, but we just like kept not having a chance to speak. So it just didn't happen. We went to an Easter church service. I was like, I knew that we invited everyone on Easter weekend, and I wanted to put that out to the family, like, let's find a church to go to if you want, because I knew people were very religious. And so we went together, and right before the whole service starts, she's like, so you're a Hare Krishna? And I had no idea, any idea. I mean, I know I post some things, but not a lot, and I don't use that phrase. And but she gathered so much, or maybe family, I don't really know. And I was like, well, I don't call myself that, but I was, and then this music, this loud music, because I guess Christian churches are like rock concerts now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of that or seen that. It's actually, I actually was impacted by it, and I thought I experienced it as like sound vibration, the rock concert. So I think they're trying to reach people with through more cathartic, emotional music, and I think it's working for Christian churches to have that kind of rock bands at the service. Anyway, and then she's like, okay, we'll talk after, but then it wasn't a chance after either. And so I was thinking this morning to just go ahead and start the conversation. I mean, I don't need to, I don't want to convince her of anything, but I also didn't want to like shy away from the inquiry about what I'm practicing or what my journey was. And where I was going this morning in my mind was about that topic of that Mother Anandini was speaking about, like the universality of the religions, like the essence of religion. And I was thinking to write about that, because that's, yeah. And anyway, I was just, as I was sitting in the class, I was thinking how much I like the clarification that Srila Prabhupada offers in these teachings from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, because it's not only saying what the essence, the essential principles are, the essential principles and practices of a devotee of God, but also, so it's like saying the walls of the religions in a way don't matter. Also, the rigorousness of the instructions do. So like there's like a rigorousness of following, and then there's like this universality of principle. So I was just thinking how much I like that combination. It's not just like you concoct whatever you want. No, God sent representatives and teachers, and there's something very powerful when we follow strictly, the teachings, the lifestyle and of that teacher, and then at the same time, there's a universality of principle, like devotional service. So yeah, I was just thinking about that, and I think I'll write about that soon, and maybe I'll write that to my cousin. Maybe I'll write that and share it publicly or something, whatever. So that's all.
Thanks very much for your sharing. I like the integration, the universality of principles, and then that. And I've shared in many forums, like this is something that so much attracted to me to Prabhupada, to Krishna consciousness from the earliest days before I was chanting, going back to the State College Preaching Center. This whole idea of time and circumstance, that naturally, okay, there could be different rules, different regulations according to time and circumstance, and the principles are the same if it's a legitimate bona fide tradition. So yeah, so it's both, but both are so, because it's okay. Well, the principle is just to love God with all my heart. I don't need to chant or follow this dietary restriction. No, because without some sadhana, then it just becomes sentimental, even if we speak words that sound like the principles. I remember, some of you are familiar with this. This was someone, a very devout Christian, and somehow about 15 years ago, she came to the Safatov experience. And there was things like, I would say her lines kind of like fundamentalist. And there were things in the Safatov seminars and programs, which was very foreign to, like, people in her community would go, like, that's the devil, that sort of thing. But she tolerated it. And because she's so deep in her spirituality, she got that, like, we really got the essence of that, love of God like that. But she, she wasn't or isn't like comfortable with the particular form. At the same time, she really appreciated, like, because she could see, like Malini and myself, members of the community, we had this like morning program, and we had a sadhana, and she went like that, and she could see that really in her line there would be, they couldn't preach like that, but like there was really no sadhana, like what are you actually doing? So she started coming. She would do like bhakti yoga retreats to learn sadhana, and then she would apply it to, she would create some not concoct, but like based on Jesus's teachings, create some mantra. And she would start, she wasn't reading the Bible, but then she started doing like a Bible class every day, and she really got the sadhana idea, and she so much appreciated that, and she applied it in her path. So yeah, appreciating the essential principles, and they might take different forms. And for most everyone, if not practically everyone, if we don't have some sadhana that we're rigorously following, that's bona fide, not just here's what I think is going to work. No, like that's why Srila Prabhupada, he gave it from the Kali Santarana Upanishad, he gave us the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and then other mantras. Now, Shingadev, he gave us a whole program. Of course, we're free to embrace it 1% or 100%. The more we embrace it, the more we'll cleanse our hearts and progress. Without some bona fide sadhana, it's nice. Oh, I love God, or like that, but it's not gonna solidly go anywhere. Thanks for that,
Thank you.
Anandini.
Yes, I just, Damayanti, your sharing just reminded me of another insight. An insight I had this week. There was a big Bhakti festival in Vrindavan organized by Krishna Chandra. He's like
Yep.
like a very influential devotee here in Switzerland, and a lot of many who come to our programs go to these programs, and they all went to India to this Bhakti retreat, and they heard all the teachers there speak, and this week someone shared with me, I heard there from many that actually walking and chanting is not true chanting. But when I just sit and chant, my mind gets so loud, I don't chant anymore. It's impossible for me. And then when she was sharing that, I got this insight how also like in the, I don't know, Vaishnav tradition, or there's this principle of time, place, and circumstance.
Yeah.
And that from what I understand, Srila Prabhupada, like he encouraged japa walks.
Well, yeah, there's hundreds of morning walks where, of course, he's talking a lot, he's preaching, but he's going on japa walks hundreds of times. There's videos of Prabhupada pacing back and forth. So someone in that Sangha needs to tell Prabhupada he got it wrong.
Well, that wasn't the mood. Like, because I shared with her, like, it seems to me that it could be helpful to go and see what Srila Prabhupada says about that, because Srila Prabhupada is especially empowered to instruct us according to our Western, I didn't say contaminated, but our Western mind.
Conditioning, yeah.
So he knew he was empowered to give instructions that help us where we are at. And maybe someone who grew up in Vrindavan, for them, a japa walk isn't the best way to concentrate on chanting. But for us here, it's better than not chanting, for sure.
Thanks for sharing. I appreciate you. Like, okay, yeah, it's better to sit and chant. Okay, that's what's Prabhupada's teachings, what's Prabhupada's example, and for sure, sitting and chanting. That's so emphasized. At the same time, Srila Prabhupada also fully supported walking and chanting. Because again, the principle that we get from Prabhupada is to chant attentively, to focus our mind, consciousness, and power of hearing on the words of the Maha Mantra. And if that's going to best be supported by walking in nature, standing, sitting, whatever's going to support that. So I appreciate your focus and your encouragement, like, oh, let's hear from Srila Prabhupada. our current link about that. And I know for myself, if I look over the 41 years of chanting japa, probably, just personally, probably my very, very best rounds were when I'm sitting. That's true. And at the same time, my dullest consciousness is also because when I'm sitting, I have experience. I can be most attentive, but also when I get sleepy. So I have experiences of both. So I know for me, walking can help me. It can help me to be awake and alert while chanting. At the same time, I experience if I'm walking, I can easily get distracted by look at that bird. What's that sound from that factory over there? So these are the considerations in serving the principle.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anandini. Any other comments or questions? Thank you for giving your hearing power to Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai,
Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai.
Jai, thank you.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.